My name is Tommy Moore. I'm the creative arts pastor at Area 10 Faith Community. Area 10 is a church that meets in Richmond, Virginia, specifically in Carytown, which is pretty close to downtown. And we meet in the Byrd Theater, which is an old movie theater that still functions. They still show movies now. But the movie theater is probably 70 years old. Area 10 has been around about 5 years. The pastor, Chris Barris, worked in the suburbs of Richmond for a few years before deciding to come and plant a church in Richmond in the city itself. Response has been pretty favorable. I'd say a big thing that Chris is passionate about is that Area 10 is going to be not the greatest church in the city, but the greatest church for the city. So the church early on, and even still today, has been real intentional about getting involved in the community, and a part of that's helping serve the homeless population, helping serve the schools in Richmond, and as well as some things beyond the city. And on a typical Sunday morning, volunteers will start getting there about 6 in the morning to set up, and during the services we have kind of basic components. We have three things we really focus on: worship, preaching, and communion. And for worship, I'm the guy that's in charge of that, and what that usually looks like is a band of electric guitar, drums, key, bass, acoustic, and kind of typical setup for contemporary churches, playing a lot of progressive music. So a big part of what we do for worship, I think, is to set up and prepare people to hear the sermon, to hear Chris's message. We kind of go back and forth on sermon series. Sometimes we teach through a book, verse by verse, a book of the Bible, verse by verse. Other times we'll just pick a topic or an idea, whether it's leadership or finances or marriage, and we'll kind of spend a month or two going through that kind of thing. So Chris will go back and forth between just preaching through a book of the Bible versus preaching on a specific topic. And the last component of our worship service that we do every week is communion. And that's just a time where we can remember the story of Christ, His sacrifice, remember that we're in this together as a community, and just have a time of reflection of how we can honor Christ with our lives. When Area 10 first started and met in the Byrd Theater, they had a pretty big challenge of what do we do with children? What Chris and Abby saw the potential in was, what if we rent out one of the locations in Carytown that's close to the Byrd Theater, and we use it for children's space on Sunday mornings, but during the week we use it for something else. And so they came up with the idea of cartwheels and coffee. So you'd come to the coffee shop, you'd bring your kid, and there's a place for them to play. So you can come and bring your kids so they can play with other kids while you hang out with your friends and drink a cup of coffee. Cartwheels can create an atmosphere where you can build friendships, build community, get out of the house, and drink coffee. So we've seen that happen a lot as well. And also from the business standpoint, it allows us to use the space that we would be renting anyway for children's space, then paying the same amount of money to rent it for the month. It allows us to have a business in place during the week, so that space isn't just unused during the week. I think the future of Area 10 is exciting and scary at the same time. I don't see us leaving the Byrd. In 5 years, it's such a beautiful building. It has the ability to hold a lot of people, and I don't think you can really duplicate that type of atmosphere in a church, in a normal church building. So I don't see us leaving that. As far as community outreach goes 5 years from now, I think it's just continuing to develop strong partnerships with specific organizations. Yeah, so Area 10's big focus, the reason for existing, is to teach Richmonders to love beyond reason, to love Christ with all their heart, to love people as they love themselves, and to really love the city. Where we kind of get that from is just the idea when Jesus was asked, what's the greatest commandment? He says to love God and to love others